My name is Linnea Edlund. I've been a bridge player for about 15 years, and I'm a member of the Swedish Bridge Federation, the board of the Swedish Bridge Federation, and I am the captain of the Swedish team. My agenda today is a very short overview of the MiniBridge concept. I am sure that most of you who are teaching MiniBridge are already familiar with how it works. And I guess we have some national differences in the way we use it. I will talk about why I think we need it, and I will give you a short summary of the project that we conducted this year in Sweden. That's called the MiniBridge Cup. Most of you are probably already familiar with this, but the MiniBridge is a very simplified version of the auction and can be taught very, very quickly to new bridge players or non-bridge players. You use the same kind of calculation for the high card points, at 4 points for an ace, 3 for a king, and so on. And everyone around the table announces their total high card points, and the pair with the most high card point will be the declaring side, and the player with the most high card points within that pair will be the declarer. We have the leaflet in Sweden that you can use as a cheat sheet while actually conducting this for the first times. To choose which contract you will play, the dummy puts her cards face down in front of the table, and the declarer look at his cards and then choose if you want to play with a trump suit or play in no trump. And the recommendation from the book is that with at least 8 cards in a common suit, it's recommended to use that one as a trump suit. In the cheat sheet, they will also find this little star thing where the high card points are translated to a number of tricks, and then recommendation of how many high card points you need to reach the different bonus levels. And using this information, the high card points, the number of the cards in a suit, you can choose a contract that could be playable. It's really a very easy way to turn the auction part into something very short and concrete for a new player. And then when the game starts, it's just normal bridge like you're all very familiar with. What is the good thing about MiniBridge is that almost all bridge players can teach this to their friends. And my opinion is that we should not only teach new players through the MiniBridge, but we should teach MiniBridge to established bridge players. And why should we do that? I was very, very impressed by Mattias' book. We really need to think of all existing bridge players as advertising pillars for our sport. To reach out to potential new players, we need to use all of the assets we have, and the best asset is the existing players. It's a very huge gap for a person that has never tried bridge, might not even have heard so much about bridge, to find their local bridge club, see if they are holding a beginner's course or searching for material online to get into bridge for the first time. But if all established bridge players know the concept of MiniBridge, have access to the little folders and leaflets, you can make bridge more accessible. So if you can't bring the people to the bridge club in the first place, try to bring bridge to the people. Make sure it's seen in the schools, in the university, at your workplace, at the golf club, at the family Sunday dinner, or at the pub. I am one of those players that Shireen was talking about that are not very used to speak to a large number of audience. And also one more thing that Matthias said is that if we try to be the pillars of advertising for Bridge, you should be proud of it. You should let the people in your office, the people at the swimming pool, your hairdresser, your dentist, try to mention Bridge in the small pieces of conversation that can occur. And we as board members of the federation or in the clubs or Bridge teachers, we have to let everyone else of our Bridge playing friends know that they should be these pillars. What we did in Sweden during this year, we started in the end of last year, was to organize the MiniBridge Cup. We organized this from the national level of the Swedish Bridge Federation. The purpose was to get Bridge players to create a team of adepts to play a small team tournament with a round robin first, so every team was guaranteed 3 matches. And then we had a knockout stage with the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and so forth. And I think one of the best parts of this is that I, as a Bridge player, I will take responsibility for a limited and concrete start and end in my commitment for this. I try to recruit players from my existing social connections, and we will train together to just join this tournament. And if my players or my adepts like this, they will most likely want to know how to play RealBridge and continue with this. And if they find out that this is nothing for me, well, then at least they have tried. We also added a possibility to win money if you were the best team of this MiniBridge Cup. We had 33 teams that registered to play in the first version of this. This was last year. And the matches were played both live and online. Thanks a lot to the RealBridge people that made adaptations to the software to go with our national version of the MiniBridge rules. We had 3 different roles in this tournament. We had ambassadors, and our vision of this was that we should have a MiniBridge Cup ambassador in each of the regional or district levels in Sweden. The ambassador should inform the clubs and the players that this event was about to take place. They should provide the mentors with the teaching material. They could help with finding venues at the Bridge Club or at an office or some other place where matches could be played in the case that matches were played online. And if you had more adepts than you had mentors, they could try to coordinate and connect people to form these teams. The mentor, that was the captain of the team. So the mentor is an established Bridge players that will find 3 or more adepts to form a team and then coordinate with the other mentors the time for these matches that they should play. Each team was guaranteed 3 matches in the first round robin stage of the tournament. And these were not on set dates. We had a time period. It was usually around 3 or 4 weeks for when each match of the stage were going to be played. And the adepts, they could be beginners. They could have been playing a little bridge, but maybe not having advanced to actually go and play duplicates or team matches already. So there were a few adepts from different bridge courses, bridge classes that formed teams, or it could be completely new players. My own team was formed with some backgammon playing guys, and they really had a mind sports thinking going for them, and they were thrilled to get straight into the competition. And for people that are used to playing other mind sports and other types of games, I think getting to a stage where you can instantly compete in bridge makes it very exhilarating. As Samantha said in her presentation, we have this different kind of player types. And I think most of the players that went into this competition were the really competitive types. I see some question. I didn't really manage to follow the chat, but Mr. Melander has already pasted a link to teaching material found on the RealBridge Federation site. And I think it was actually created in Sweden and then translated. Shireen, there is an auction in MiniBridge, but it's just a very simplified auction where you decide who will be the declarer and what contract you will be playing. When you start playing MiniBridge for the first time, so you can actually also cut out the thing about choosing a contract. You only choose a suit to play and try to take as many tricks as possible. Last year, or this year, was the first event for this MiniBridge Cup, and we have learned some lessons. I set my goals high. I wanted to have at least 200 teams in this event. We ended up with 33. It's always a hard time doing anything for the first time, but we will try for this year to have more ambassadors. We need to get the word out to the players. Players are not really good at following up on information put on a website or feeling that they can actually go in and do this themselves. They need an ambassador to tell them face to face that you can do this. You can teach MiniBridge, you can create your team, and you can enter into this competition. The scoring in this MiniBridge competition is we use the same scoring as we do in RealBridge. Maybe I can see if I can find the English version of this leaflet that has been produced. Or maybe Shireen, you can find it from the link that Mickey sent and prepare to share it from your screen.
I can, but I know it's a zipped file and I'd have to unzip it and share it.
Okay.
So we'll make sure that on the directory we'll publish the link that from the WAF site. We'll add it there.
Yes. And in the first iteration of this MiniBridge Cup, we allowed only one mentor per team. But for the following event, we will allow up to 2 mentors per team. So 2 mentors and 2 adepts. I think this will probably make it a bit easier to form new teams. And I can just imagine how many couple dinners we can see where one bridge playing couple introduces the MiniBridge concept to their non-bridge playing friends, having a nice dinner, drinking some wine, and then play some MiniBridge after that. When we looked at the teams that entered into this competition, we had people in all ages. We had some students. I think it was around 4 teams comprised entirely out of students. We had some teams that were colleges working at the same office that practiced in their office. And we had some family teams as well, with the grandparents playing with their grandkids. And then also some teams with just a group of friends. Yes. And something else that was not being good in a good enough way after this one was to follow up the adepts after the tournament has ended and actually see if they managed to transfer from this MiniBridge tournament to a RealBridge class or joining a club or something like that. I made a quick check and I managed to see that at least half of the players have been registered as members of the Swedish Bridge Federation. And hopefully some of them are playing. We also have a Swedish Championship for beginners each year in Sweden. And I could recognize at least 3 of the MiniBridge Cup players in the top 10 out of almost 300 players in this tournament. So it has been a very good start for at least some of the adepts to enter into RealBridge. There are some resources that you can use if you want to learn more about how to teach MiniBridge and how to get your adepts to practice. The material that have already been discussed in the chat is available on the RealBridge Federation website. For our mentors, we advertised an app in the phone, it's called Synray, where you can practice 12 free deals per day with the same MiniBridge settings that we had choose to use as rules in our MiniBridge Cup. As I told you, we had some matches being played online, since this tournament was a nationwide tournament and we had really lots of geographical distance in Sweden. It was very convenient to have matches online at RealBridge, where you can use MiniBridge settings. You can have a MiniBridge setting to play a pair event as well as a team event, and you can tick whichever boxes you like to make the rules the MiniBridge settings for your kind of event. You can choose if doubles are allowed or not. As an example, if you are allowed to see the whole distribution of the dummy or the cards of the dummy before you make your bid and so on. And the Swedish Bridge Federation had also prepared some YouTube videos that explained in, I think there are around 10 minutes each, 5 videos that explains MiniBridge from start to finish. And with all of this new technology available, you can look at them in Swedish and have them automatically translated to English. Yes.
Thank you, Linnea. That was really great. You've already answered some of the questions as they came in, but I think many people seem to like your emphasis on all bridge players need to be responsible for the survival of the game. So Louise put that comment into the chat. We've had a few questions come in. One from Michael, who asks, although it's not all about the money, what was the prize money?
I can't remember the exact sum. I think in the end it was 4,000 Swedish crowns, around 400 euros. Mm-hmm. If we had had more teams participating, we could have an even bigger prize pool.
Yeah, and you have this ambition to go from your 33 teams to 200 teams. And you mentioned that one way of doing that was by using more ambassadors, but is there anything else you plan to do to try and hit that 200 mark?
Well, I think the ambassadors are the most important key players in making it successful. I mean, you can push out so much information online in the printed Bridge magazine of Sweden, but it's not until someone actually looks you in the eye and says you can have a team that most possible mentors will actually take the step and form the team. And there are a lot of people that don't really know about the MiniBridge concept at all. So we have to make it more accessible. We have to talk about it. We had some really successful local clusters for the last event, where the local ambassador actually came to their club, and before they started playing the tournament or the duplicate for that day, put the MiniBridge folders on the tables and said, now let's play the first board with the MiniBridge auction, so that the normal bridge players could actually understand how easy it was to grasp the concept and to actually try out the MiniBridge and see that it is rewarding to play a hand of MiniBridge, even as an established bridge players. When you start to think about that, okay, I know that this player has only 3 points. He will not have the ace of hearts that I'm missing. It will trigger a reasoning for them.
And could you say a bit more about what you actually do to train your ambassadors and your mentors? And do you do all this yourself, or do you have a team of people? How does it work in terms of coordinating this group?
Last year, we did not manage to get as many ambassadors as we wanted. So it was mainly me having a one-on-one discussion with each of the person that had signed up to be an ambassador. We incorporated a part of the MiniBridge Cup as in presentations for the tournament director. We have an online tournament director conference each year. We have an online conference for bridge teachers. During the Swedish Bridge Festival, we had a live seminar where people could get a free lunch if they just come and listen to me.
And John has said, and even though John's asked this question, and I know Mika has answered it from his perspective, but to hear from your perspective, how do you overcome the people who get put off as soon as you say the word bridge? They're put off by the whole thing. How do you overcome that?
As a mentor,
as any of your team, you know, like if you're trying to get people involved, new people involved in this, but you say the word come and play MiniBridge or bridge or whatever, and they hear the word and they think all the negative things that we've been hearing about in terms of the image and the stereotypes and things, and they're put off. How do you convince them otherwise?
I just tell them that it's the greatest game ever.